More than 12 million Africans were kidnapped and shipped to the Americas in the transatlantic slave trade from the 16th to the 19th century. And this includes over 2 million who died during the crossing. Northern Ghana was one focus of the trade in human lives. Captives from communities in the north, such as Nok in modern-day Togo, were brought to satellite slave markets like Sakwili. Then they were marched to Salaga slave market, where merchants would buy them and take them to the coast, where they left through points like the door of no return. But centuries later, that door is being flung open in the other direction. What began in 2019 as the year of return, celebrating and welcoming the Black diaspora. DW correspondent Maxwell Suuk accompanied one group during their emotional homecoming. He takes up the story in the caves of Nok.
They are yearning to connect with their ancestors. Shamin, John, and Marian are the descendants of enslaved Africans. Born in the Caribbean, they have come from New York to northern Togo.
We can get the scent of our ancestors after all these years. It's mind-boggling.
Nok is the place where the Moba people took refuge from the Chokoses. They were slave raiders pursuing their neighbors to sell them to European merchants. Shamin is from Trinidad. For her, it is an overwhelming reunion.
I'm a witness of what occurred. I accept, I understand, and I'm not going to be silent. I'm here, and I'm here for a reason. I'm here to let my ancestors know, even in the spirit realm, that I do appreciate. And they're not alone. The battle is not won, but the fight has begun, and that the world knows that we are a people, and we have an origin, and we are entitled, that's our right, to be who we are supposed to be.
To find out more, I have come to Salaga, a northern town with history of trade. It's long been famous for commerce, selling things like salt, kola nuts, and human beings.
Africans who were abducted from communities around Nok were enslaved after their capture and forced to march in chains for days to the slave market in Salaga. Those who died on the way were cast aside, whilst those who survived the journey were paraded like animals for European and American merchants to select.
Chains, shackles, and Dennis guns are relics of slavery kept by residents in this modest museum. Slavery was only abolished here in the late 19th century after British colonies invaded.
So you were wanting slaves or wanting a slave to buy, and of course a stronger slave to buy, you needed to come to Salaga. If you closely observe the tattoos or the marks, you see that they're coming from different areas.
Outside of Salaga town, oral tradition says historic slave wells are another relic of the trade. They were used to wash slaves who had been brought to the Salaga slave market. The wells were renovated by the Ghana Tourism Authority in 2024. Some even drink from them and say they connect to the souls of their ancestors who got divided by the brutal slave trade.
Slavery started the division among Africans, if you think carefully. They were living together as kingdoms and united better. Now, it's difficult for people to trace their ancestors because they've been separated from their roots for generations.
But decades later, the descendants of slaves are finding their way home. Nakpanduri is one of the communities that was decimated by slave raiding. John Francis feels he has been reunited with his bloodline, and he has photographs to prove it.
This is a picture of my grandfather. And when I see my grandfather and I see you and your brother Conlan, you all look like my uncles.
For many returnees, DNA analysis has confirmed the close affinity they feel. Corinne Lewis is from Trinidad. Her results suggest a clear link back to her roots in Africa.
My daughter actually did a DNA analysis, and it proved that we were 78% African. It even went on to break down the regions that we were from. And in 2019, I had the opportunity to come to Ghana, and I felt like this was home. This was where I came from. This was my beginning.
A long journey back to the caves of Nog, where the descendants of enslaved Africans can finally feel a closeness with their ancestors. For them, it is a relief, a restoration after years of loss.